That line right there, love is for the living. I'm only after her for one reason, she's my ticket out of here. That was the key line that Tony and I would always go back to that kind of identified who that character was. The idea with Manny being a Hispanic Humphrey Bogart, that line evoked Casablanca in many ways, and that was kind of just we worked on that line more longer than we should have, but it was just one of those that we just felt was important to kind of nail and help define Manny.
And you could see Pete's musical treatment of it. He kind of suspended the music and had this little classical guitar melody that had a feeling of being like a pocket in time to further highlight that line.
Right.
Yeah.
Gladys, my friend, why are you crying?
Manny? Oh, Manny! They fired me!
Me too, buddy.
You don't understand, Manny. I was created just to do that job. It's the only thing that makes me happy. It's like they reached into my chest and pulled out my heart and threw it into the woods to...
Gladys, what have you done? Oh, Gladys.
I always like Glottis because he's just so pure in his... I mean, he's by definition pure in that he's just the spirit of driving, kind of. Like, he was summoned from the land itself, and he has no... nothing but a desire to drive and go fast, and all his motivations are about like moving at high speed. He almost dies because he's going too slow at some point, and he has to go fast again to come back to life.
Right.
But he also obviously cares about friendship and Manny, and he's a very loyal character.
I wonder how long he can live without a heart. Oh no. Ooh, ick. Shoot!
This is me playing with my own worst fears. I was realizing while we're making this game, I just randomly was thinking about how nice it is that spiders can't fly. You know, with spiders are kind of icky, but they're on the wall. You can stay away from them. Don't go in the garage. Don't get firewood ever. You can stay away from spiders, but what if they could fly? What if you had to, instead of like a bee buzzing around you or something, you had to worry about like there's a black widow. Like, wouldn't that be creepy? So we made flying spiders in the game.
I guess I could always use a spare. Soup's on. Huh, they don't seem very interested in that bone I put in there. Oh, poor spiders. No more demon heart to eat. It's still beating.
Heart. Heart is good. Be good to heart. Don't tear out heart. Heart is good. Strong, beating, good heart. Hey, is that my car?
Mr. Lamont, I assure you the missing woman will be found. I will personally track her down myself.
Just like you personally picked her up from the land of the living.
That was my intention, but Agent Calavera somehow got to her first.
We gave you the fastest car, Domino. We gave you all the best clients. You had all the advantages. So how was this Calavera able to sneak in there and eat your lunch?
Oh, now, Hector, you can't get too mad at Domino. That wasn't his fault.
Oh, I can, Don. You should know I can get too mad.
but not a Domino. After all, he wasn't in charge of this operation. At least, not until now. Hector, no! Marigolds. Funny. For some reason, I was expecting tulips. Well, maybe Mr. Calavera, eh, Domino? Why don't you personally go down to the basement and escort him up here? The sooner he's sprouted and we can get back to business, the better.
Wanna go for a ride?
I thought you'd never ask. Oh! Sorry. Manny, this is a low-riding street rod, not a 4x4. We don't have the clearance for that kind of road.
Híjole, mano. What sort of unholy Christmas tree farm is this, Gladys? Gladys?
Manny, check out this wheelbarrow, will ya? With a couple of ATV nubby tires on the back and a 2-stroke lawnmower engine, we could make one sweet go-kart.
Drive this thing all over the forest.
You will once I get that 2-stroke in there.
I remember in this room, as in several others, Julian, we used a sound ambience that we recorded using a contact microphone on various machines, like Coke machines, other vibrating devices or machine-like devices that produces a kind of interesting hum. And if you put your ear up against a Coke machine, or I was just on the Golden Gate Bridge last week and I stuck my ear up against one of those, 300, 200 foot pylons, and it's amazing the resonances that are going on in those type of resonant bodies. And we would record things like that and turn them into ambiences for some of the rooms.
Ooh, careful, Manny! With the harmonic balancer turned off, those pumps might shake that tree apart. Oh! If we shook the tree down, those pumps would dislodge, and I could make high-lift shocks out of them for the bone wagon. Hold on. I'm going to unbalance that wheel with some of these weights. That'll shake her down for sure. Okay, just give me a second to balance these doggies. That should do it.
Still not enough.
And maybe if I moved them around a little.
Gladys, what are they doing to that tree?
Oh, city boy! You work all day in a 60-story skyscraper, but didn't you ever wonder what it was made of? The marrow of these
These trees, man.
They suck it out. It's like cement.
Is that why the town's called El Marro?
Huh? Never thought of that. Maybe so. Hey, while you had that off, let me try moving those weights around some more. Okay, just give me a second to balance these doggies. Hey, Manny! What are you doing? Manny, until now we scraped along the ground like rats. But from now on, we soar. Like eagles. Heh. Like eagles on pogo sticks!
What a relief. I was getting concerned that our transportation wasn't ostentatious enough.
Get in! Or are you afraid of heights? Look out!
Well, this is the area that Tim and I would make a lot of jokes about because, you know, producer type person, I need to shorten the game, cut it somehow. So this area, I would, you know, say, hey, we need to cut the beavers. Does that make sense?
He's like, no way, not cutting it.
Oh, well, the whole time we'd fight about it, and it was that one kind of thing where that was the story I told a little earlier about the ship, you know, and he said, Leslie, a game is like a ship, and the ship is going, and it's going to keep going until it stops. And I was like, what kind of logic is that? It has to finish at some point. So I was like, look, the beavers got to go, and they'd always be on the list. And he actually drew me a little pictures on a napkin of like the armadillo, the beavers on fire. And he's like, why did you cut me, Leslie? Please don't cut me, Leslie. And he would just poke me.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Loteria.
Well, this is the...
I'm scared of that sign.
This is like a callback to those brave young men and their jaunty jalopies. You ever seen that movie? Because those outrageous young men, they're flying machines.
No, that I remember.
There are these two crazy movies from the 60s, which were all about, it was kind of like the Wacky Races, but a real-life version.
Magnificent.
Yeah.
Flying machines.
And it was like one of those movies, it was kind of like Wild, Wild, Wild World or whatever, like a
Mad
World, where all these people are chasing some crazy prize, but the cars in it always had things like that. I think that is a direct lift. Like one of the cars would have these hydraulic shocks that lifted up, or just crazy extending things.
Right.
It looks like some sort of warning sign. They'll tear you apart bone by bone and build with you a human throne. Their buck-toothed king will sit upon what once was you, but now is gone. This key unlocks the gates of hell. Steady traveler, use it well. Can't pass up an old creepy key.
I still remember writing a big justification about tank controls when I was pitching this. People were like, let's make it so the controls are more like Mario, where you push it. No, point and click. I was thinking tank controls I thought were superior to point and click at the time, because when you're pointing and clicking, you're distant from the screen, and the screen is this other thing that you're interacting with at your fingertips.
Right. You're saying.
But when you're doing tank controls, you feel like you are in the center of the character.
Right.
And the world is rotating. The world's rotating around you, and so when you think, instead of going, I want to go on the left of the screen or I want to go to the right of the screen, you're saying, I want to look at the thing to the left of me and the thing to the right of me.
Mm-hmm.
And now, I don't know if that was necessarily the right decision, but it's a good piece of evidence that you can sometimes make a really good argument for the wrong decision. And that's something to watch out for in life. You know what I mean? Like, you can make a really compelling and, in fact, win an argument.
Oh, yeah.
And be totally wrong.
Winning an argument has nothing to do with being right, that's for sure.
Exactly. It's just being able to make a good case.
Out of the way!
I don't need any more. I'm practically made of them.
We coined a phrase called McConnellian ambience, and meaning Pete McConnell. His style of ambience, where you have a little idea and then a completely different idea and then a completely different idea, just sort of sequenced, and the texture would get kind of big, and then it would get very small with a solo clarinet, and then something completely different would happen, and then you'd get a little bassoon. And so these ideas would waft in and out like clouds, or just passing notions. And it's a great way to keep the listener entertained but not get in his way. And so we termed that a McConnellian approach to ambience.
What are you doing? Don't you know what's on the other side of that gate?
Yeah, the way out of the forest.
Demon beavers, Manny! They'll make you into a dam!
Relax, Geppetto. I'm not made of wood.
But Manny! They don't use wood.
this scene, actually, this is the beavers here, another good example of like, you know, why you have to have coroutines in games, because you know, at least in adventure games, you have to have like a script that just says, how's this beaver going to behave? You know, what's he going to do? And at the time that people were making games, you know, the scripting languages weren't popular yet. You had a lot of games in C, and somebody would have been trying to write in their game engine, in their game loop, and go run the beavers now. And in a scene like this, you had to be able to take that and say, this is how a beaver behaves. Right now, I'm thinking like a beaver. How would a beaver? He's going to crawl over here, and he's going to chew on these things, and then he'll get tired, and then he'll jump over here. The same thing with the pigeons and everything else. And that, again, it's like I didn't have to think about the fact that they were needed. They were obviously needed. I mean, that's one of the things that Scump had made very obvious. Like, you cannot make adventure games without coroutines. They didn't even call them coroutines, though. I mean, we didn't even know what to call them for a long time until, I mean,
Threads.
They were just threads, yeah. And actually, well, that was one of the early experiments. I actually tried to use actual Windows threads, because this is a Windows game. It wasn't a DOS game. This is a Windows game. We can use actual threads. And I initially did try and actually have different Lua threads, and it was just so heavyweight. Machines are so tight, and it was so much overhead, and it was so complex. And it was like, no, we need something lightweight. It needs to be really focused on what the game does.
We were like, what is the flame source for the beavers? And they're like, well, they have a nuclear, they have core. They have a nuclear core, so they're thermonuclear flaming bone beavers.
Yeah, you know, I have to say, flaming bone beavers. I mean,
you would think that would
what
be
does that remind you
controversial.
of? Yeah.
A band name?
Maybe. Yeah.
These monsters have made a dam out of human bones. This outer gate is huge. I'll need Glottis to open it.
Manny, I don't know if I like driving over people.
They can't feel it, they're dead.
You're dead? I wouldn't want to drive over you.
That's because you and I, Glottis, are friends.
Aw, Manny. Hello? Miss Colomar! We're here to save you!
Hey, lay off the racket, the whole town's asleep.
But I want a drag race! When they get a load of my car, we're gonna be the talk of the town!
You're right. We're gonna have to find a good place to hide that road show. Speaking of hiding, I wonder if Mitch is here already. I'm gonna go see what I can stir up. Not a bad piece of real estate, actually. It's got potential.
gotta watch your step around here, stranger. Rubicava ain't the quaint little port town she used to be. Well, hell, looks like there's a new vessel in town. Pardon me whilst I go check her out.
The character Celso is played by a really funny actor called Peter Lorre, and when he came into the studio on the first day, he had this real look of apprehension about him, and it turned out the word in Hollywood was that Grim Fandango was code name for Star Wars Episode 1 casting. So when he was coming in for the project, people were telling him, "You're going to be going in, and George Lucas is going to be there, and they're going to be flying you up to the ranch," and he was terribly disappointed when he walked in, and the only person in the studio was me.
This guy looks familiar. Mr. Flores, I'm ready to take you now.
Manny Calavera. Is that you? Didn't you used to be taller?
I'm here to reclaim that walking stick.
I broke it over the head of some hideous monsters in the forest.
What are you doing here?
Well, if you must know, it's about my wife. I got word that she passed away not long after and that she too was crossing the land of the dead on foot. It is said that all lost souls come to Rubicava, so I came here to wait for her.
You must love her very much, Celso.
Yes, this is true. Of course, she also has all of my money.
How do you know your wife hasn't gone ahead of you?
Oh, Manny. If she had arrived here first, surely she would have waited for me.
I'm looking for a woman named Mercedes Colomar.
Well, no one's come through town by that name, and you can take it from me. I, too, am looking for someone, so I watch the comings and goings around here very carefully.
So, know a good place to stay in town?
What's your price range?
Somewhere around the high end of nothing.
Then maybe, young man, it's time you started thinking about a job.
I'll help you find your wife. What did she look like?
Oh, here. I got this from the DOD and made copies to hand out. Isn't she something?
She must have been beautiful with skin.
Weren't we all?
Can you get me a job here?
Have any skills?
Sales?
Well, that does qualify you for a certain position, but we only have one mop. I'm sorry, Manuel. I've got to get this place ready to open.
Right. I'll let you know if I see your wife.
She'll be the one asking for her beloved Celso.
Well, actually, it's mostly
I really wanted to have this moment of Lasco bonding with Glottis, through the magic of cars, and talking about engines and stuff, and cars bring people together, talking about engines.
Was
because I never had sports.
Internal combustion.
I never liked sports. I was not into the manly unifier of sports, but
me neither.
But cars you can talk about with the toughest of dudes.
That's true. That's
like,
true.
There was this one high-pitched whine it was making, really grating noise, you know? And I searched and searched, but I couldn't find the source of the noise until we pulled in here.
Was it the blower?
No, it was Manny screaming in the back like a cat tied to a cruise missile.
That's a good one.
Hola.
Hey, Manny, Dockmaster Velasco here says he's got a place we can dry dock the bone wagon for a while.
Oh, yeah. We can't leave a beauty like this out in the fog, or her chrome will get pitted.
Pitted? Did you hear that, Manny?
You folks gonna stay in Rubicava for a spell?
We're here looking for a woman named Mercedes Colomar.
I'm not too good with names. Did she have any distinguishing marks or a tattoo?
Not that she showed me.
Well, like I said, I'm as good with names as you are with the fog.
I might be here a while. Is there any work in this town?
Well, there's lots of work down at the docks, but it's all union work. And I just don't see you in that union.
How do you get around here with all the mist?
When you've strolled these docks as long as I have, Pilgrim, you know where you are by the smell of the sea, by the sound of the lonely foghorn, by the icy touch of the cold, salty air.
Wow! Manny, could I have an eye patch?
Can I just ask, what is under the eye patch? Because I know it's not an eye.
Oh, well, when I was alive, I had an eye patch like this. This one's just for the phantom pain. And that one eye socket used to scream like a banshee when the trade winds blew, so I plugged her.
Hey, Manny, we were in the middle of a conversation here.
Hey, okay. Ever seen this woman?
Oh, if this is the woman you're looking for, take my advice. Forget about her. She sailed out of here weeks ago in a cozy portside cabin built for two, and she wasn't alone.
How do you know she sailed out of here? I don't believe it.
It's a tough break, Junior, but you gotta face it. Here, look it up in my port log if you want it in writing. 6 weeks ago on a Tuesday. Ticket for two, paid in full. I cracked the champagne on the bow myself.
Hey, Manny, we were in the middle of a conversation here.
Hey, okay.
Look, I know how you feel, son. Once I lost a very special lady myself. I waved to her from the docks as she sailed out of port, and I never saw her again.
What was her name?
The SS La Mancha was her name, but don't make me talk about her, because I just can't do it.
Celso, your wife sailed out of here 2 months ago with another man. It's all in there.
Oh, Manny, is there a greater constant in nature than the treachery of women?
Forget about her, Celso.
Have you forgotten yours? I'm going after her. You take over my job here. This mop at least will never let you down. That compass in the handle will sure come in handy too.